Greetings, your high captain. I sent you a replay with the same complaint before, but you've not analyzed it. And whether that's because you didn't feel like doing a video or you're just being lazy, I don't know. But anyway, here's another one. There's not much to say about this replay as the Protoss destroyed me quickly. I opened up with a hatch first, trying to be economical, when I saw the toss going Warp Gate Forge. I immediately started roaches and links, and this time the Protoss transitioned quickly, not even making more than one zealot out of the gate. Once I attacked, there wasn't much to be done because he had a battery cannon, an immortal defense. I pulled back to regather my army, and they kept building more robos and unit. Eventually, the Toss's army got too big, and whenever I engaged, it completely destroyed me. Shortly after, they sent their army across the map, and I couldn't get any sufficient number of units out, nor any air. Air technically also are units, but we'll let that be for now. Even if I did manage to get air out, however, the Toss would have pulled back and used his many warp gates to build an anti-air regiment in addition to the robo units they already had. I still suck, even though I moved up a rank, but I believe, even more strongly now, that this strategy is unbeatable. And it could also be used as an early timing or cheese to destroy any Zerg player. Now, I'm not entirely sure what the strategy is, but so far what I've gathered is a Warpgate Forge rush into a single Zealot Immortal battery cannon defense, and then more robos and units. And that's it. And with the possibility of making, let me quote, an anti-air regiment with the many warp gates. So I'm really curious, first of all, what this composition or this strategy is that's unbeatable, because I haven't quite figured it out from this forum. And second of all, I'm also curious where the hell this guy uploaded his replay. So the Imbalance complaint forum has a little thing that says your replay. And in the past 4 years, people uploaded their replay in that little thing. This has never gone wrong. But Bill, which is the name of the submitter here, instead uploaded a document on Google that is called the StarCraft Quiz. And in the StarCraft Quiz, we should circle the race that the Brood War players play. Choose the main race, even if they have been playing off-race recently. So no replay there. I thought, well, that ruins this Imbalance complaint form. But then I scrolled down and we have a little header that says anything else. This is an optional thing that you can fill in. And there's more text. In case you have anything else to say or point out, here's your chance. And here goes Bill. I tested out the Colossi Immortal Stalker Archon in the unit tester, and I found you need at least one upgrade advantage to win with micro. You should try it yourself with the composition of 10 Colossi, 10 Immortals, with 20 Stalkers and 8 Archons. Now, I think that is a supply of 180 or 170, something like this. And then on the bottom, he sends a OneDrive link to the replay that I actually have to watch. So this is the first time he mentions the composition. A Colossi Immortal Stalker Archon comp. And if you put this in the unit tester, it's unbeatable. I tried putting it in the unit tester. I believe it was like 172 supply or so. This loses to 170 supply of Muta if both forces are unupgraded and both of them are unmicroed. It also loses to Mass Broodlord. It loses to Neural. It loses to Broodlord Infest. It loses to a lot of compositions, mainly the ones that are in the air, because this is an army that is mainly focused on killing ground. But I believe if you play some type of like Lurker Broodlord or Lurker Infestor, you should be capable of always beating it. And I managed to beat it a couple of times. A confused composition for sure. So let's just hop in the replay and take a look at this Colossi Immortal Stalker Archon Ball. All right, and that brings us to the game here on Equilibrium, where we have Malice Mokrom versus Bill, the Imbalance complaint form submitter, who's opening up with a never-before-seen build. He mentioned the hatch first as an economical opener. This is a 13 hatchery, which I wasn't quite aware of. I'd never seen this in my entire life, but apparently Bill has a new build. He's also floating larva, 2 of them right now. This is not the greatest opener. This is not the greatest opener for sure. I forgot to mention, by the way, but Bill is a gold player with an MMR of 2451. So Yeah, gold Bill over here. Into Overlord, we're going to see no pool quite yet. He probably wants the drone up first before he gets the pool. No, just decided that getting the Overlord first was more important. There's some interesting plays here being made. Now, as mentioned, this is a completely unique build order. I've never quite seen it in my entire life. It's very inefficient. We have very little mineral mining. We're constantly floating larva. This is not good. Wait, did you just cancel the gate? Okay, the gate finished. So we see a gateway and cybernetics core. Bill in his form mentioned a warp, I think a warp forge rush or a warp gate forge rush, something like that. I haven't quite seen the forge yet. Maybe Bill doesn't know the difference between a cybernetics core and a forge, which is possible, of course, and we shouldn't joke about that. There are people who are incapable of seeing the difference between those two. Most of them stuck in gold. As he goes for a drone scout right now. His build is a little bit confused, to be quite honest. I also am not entirely sure why the response is building roaches and links if you scout a gateway and a forge while you already have your natural. All you need to do right now is basically not die and you should be fine, I think. You don't have to attack. You can just sit back and drone up. Magically, Bill has managed to fall behind by 4 workers, mainly due to, I guess, his lack of worker production consistently. This has not been a very economical opening. Okay, we see a third base as well. Still have 3 larvae active at all times. With some gas mining with a single drone in the gas. Bill is introducing me to a completely new build order. Okay, Twilight Council. We have that one Zealot. Bill mentioned that as well. Looking forward to the battery cannon too. Which is used as a defensive tool. I'm not sure if that is a battery and a cannon, or if that's just a battery, and Bill doesn't know that it's just a shield battery, not a battery cannon. The entire Imbalance complaint form confused me very much, but probably not as much as the actual form confused Bill. And so far, he's the only person I think we've had well over 5,000 submissions at this point over the years.
Although you guys' enthusiasm on this show definitely is very high, the captain is vastly exaggerating here. We did not even get half that with exactly 2,462 send-ins since I joined in May 2020. So yeah, please don't stop sending replays or we will run out at some point. Back to the video.
I don't think I've ever seen a single Imbalance complaint form that didn't have a replay in it. I once had a guy send me the wrong replay. It's a good story for another time. Actually, there was a guy who sent me a replay. This is actually such a good story. He sent me a replay of him playing a 2v2, but his complaint form was written about a 1v1. And in the 2 versus 2, he's legitimately just flaming his opponent the entire way through, then gets destroyed by his opponents and flames them a little bit more. It was literally one of the saddest things I've seen in my life. He started from the very start and he ended at the very end. I think the game lasted like 4 minutes or so. It was very, very rude. Very rude. But at least there was a replay in there. We all make mistakes, but Bill managed to send a StarCraft quiz into the replay. It's wild. Bill is wild. The robotics facility is here. We have that single Zealot, a 3rd pylon being added in, as well as the battery now going down. A 2nd gas. That is not a fight you really want to take. This is probably the smallest choke you could go for. A single Ling attacking at the same time. This Zealot's having a blast over here. I think his battery's going to finish in time as well. Immortal on the way, we have Blink coming out as well. Full wall with a pylon, you love to see it. Bill, meanwhile, is floating 11 larvae. Could be building 11 drones as a result, but decides against it. Instead adds another queen and just the 3 drones here over at the 3rd base. He's kind of walking into a supply block soon. So despite having the 3rd base about as quick as the opponent had the natural, Bill still is down in income as well as in workers. We have a 3rd gas now being taken, despite the 2nd gas not quite mining yet. This is also not quite Evo chamber. He legitimately builds his buildings like the AI does as well, like the easy AI. Not Alpha Star. Just The EZA always builds all of their buildings kind of in blocks. You know, you have a block over here, a block over there. Kind of how American cities look like a massive grid. Except there's no little streets in between here, I guess, which you would have in American cities. That is a robo bay. We have no second robotics facility yet. I'm really curious to see how long it's going to take Malisi Mokrom over here to actually get to, what was it, 10 Colossus, 10 Immortals, 20 Stalkers, and 8 Archons. Because the speed we're currently at, we're 5 minutes in and we have a single Immortal. 3 more robotics facilities now on the way. Okay, I'm starting to dig this a little bit. Well, not really, but I guess it's a lot of production, which is nice, maybe. No third base quite yet either. So if we were to compare this to regular timings, this all looks very poor. You could probably be hitting right now with an actual Immortal in that would have like maybe 3 or 4 Immortals already. And just adding more production this early on 2 bases usually isn't very good unless you're floating a lot, which I guess Malisi Mokrom is doing currently. Bill coming in clutch with the 41 drone all-in. That is hitting about as hard as an all-in that should hit at the 3-minute mark is going to hit. Which means it's not hitting very hard at all. There are 2 Immortals out right now, as well as the battery cannon, as Bill often calls it. We have 2 Colossus being popped out over here. Forge on the way. So we're going to get some upgrades. Infestation Pit, Hydrogen. I like that we're seeing range upgrades, though. Bill knows that if you're getting range units, you want those range upgrades. So that's a big move here. Is he looking for where his opponent spawned? No, he figured it out already, no? Yeah, he scouted with the drone. But maybe he's forgotten? Like, what? Why is he scouting everywhere? And why is he doing it with his entire army? Surely if timing is of the essence, like if you're trying to kill your opponent because you've seen a Warp Gate Forge Rush, which was basically just 2 gateways and a Zealot, you want to kill your opponent. You want to hit as quickly as possible, surely. Still not mining from this gas. Still not mining from this gas either. I feel like this was the 4th extractor that went down, and this one just hasn't been mining, but has been built. We have 18 larvae available. This is the thing that always upsets me a lot. We have these people that actually inject and then just sit there with 18 larvae, which makes legitimately no sense. I see this happen so often and I don't get it. You have these like gold or platinum Zerg players. This is such a common mistake that makes no sense to me. Maybe it is because they don't hotkey their hatcheries. Maybe they think it like auto-produces or something. I have absolutely no clue. Okay, so we now have 3 Immortals and 2 Colossus. Here comes Bill. Looks at that fight. And I like here that Bill, you know, do a quick first person here. Okay, out of Bill. Let's take a look at the thought process. Okay, he's looking at his army. He's looking at his army. It's like, okay, this is my army. What does Bill see? It's like, okay, Immortal. 2 Colossus, 3 Immortals, a Zealot. Do some counting here. 6 Roaches. 12 links. He looks at this fight, he's like, yeah, let me try. Snipes the Zealot, like, oh, that was a mistake. Quickly runs back. Good micro, honestly. Only lost the links. But the decision making wasn't great. You probably could have figured out if you see 2 Colossus and even just 1 Immortal that there's no way you're going to win the fight. Loses his entire army, which really shouldn't be the end of the world because we're 7 minutes and 40 seconds in and it was like 5 Roaches and 10 links. The problem is that there's really nothing else. I'm also kind of surprised how the overall money is so low. Or, well, I guess why the gas is so low is because we only have 2 extractors currently mining out of the 4. The mineral count is actually relatively high. But in general, it feels like if you're just mining, you just get more minerals than he currently has. And more army as well. It's not like he's lost a whole lot. Like his army is just tiny for some reason. And even his bank isn't that big. It's like he had one of the worst openers I've seen in my life. Like the least economical openers, despite himself calling it economical. He's now gonna defend against 2 Colossi and 3 Immortals with 4 Hydras and 2 Roaches. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what the imbalanced part is here. Are Zergs all around really this delusional that they look at the cost of a Colossus like 300, 200, and then they look at a Roach 75-25. And they're like, yeah, he has 1 Colossus, I have 1 Roach. You know, he just does the counting. He's like, he has 4 Roaches against 3 Colossi. He's like, I have more units. Should be winning that fight. And now there's freaking 5 Colossus. 2 more Immortals also being produced. Also, air units definitely would work here. Like, yeah, your opponent could build an anti-air regiment, but you could also have 78 workers at this point, a buzzing economy, and 10 Broodlords on the way. Like, if we're playing the what-if game, then yeah, we'd be here until the morning comes. Queen dies. I would say that this is a weird joke, this entire Imbalance complaint form, but all the clues kind of fit together. Like the kind of weirdly written Imbalance complaint form, the fact that the replay hasn't been entered properly, Bill just making up a composition that isn't even in the replay, and also even the made-up composition is so ridiculous that even if it was in the replay, no, it wouldn't be capable of being in the replay because it's just made up and fake. Like, I've never seen 174 supply consisting of 10 Colossi and 10 Immortals, 8 Archons and 20 Stalkers. And then he mentions there, what did he say again? He says, try anything the Zerg has with micro and no upgrades. You will surely lose, as long as it is not so much Zerg. So basically what he's saying is, if the Protoss has a much bigger army than the Zerg cannot win. Which, in my mind, sounds like good game design and well balanced. If one guy has a way bigger army, then that is good. And if the armies are equal, or you counter your opponent's army, you can win. He's complaining about a composition that wasn't even in the game. He played legitimately the worst and least efficient opener I've probably seen in, I think, my entire life. At least in IODIS. I don't think I've seen an opener being worse. I almost feel like he had like negative income at certain points. Like, he had so little cash, it's almost unbelievable. His opponent also had 0 anti-air, so a single Muta probably could have won the game here, or 5 Mutas could have at least been capable of holding your bases. No gas mining, despite having 4 gases. Infestation pit that didn't get used either. And then having 3 Roaches and 4 Hydras against 6 Colossus and 3 Immortals. I don't even see what we're complaining about here. Like, at no point during this game do I understand what you could complain about. He isn't even complaining about the battery, which also wouldn't make sense because there was a wall and there was 2 Immortals against 6 Roaches and 12 Lings. Actually, at that point there was already 2 Colossus and 3 Immortals. It's like, the only thing he could complain about is that a Zealot in a wall could kill 12 Lings. Which is that really the fight you want to take? That's the only thing where it's even remotely an unfair interaction, because the Lings are slightly more valuable than the Zealot is by itself. But then if you factor in the wall, that is actually, that is more of an investment. So I am just very confused. I think even more confused than Bill was when filling in this form. And I mean, he sucks, I guess. So you suck, Bill, but you also mentioned that already. I just don't quite know what to say. I just don't quite know what to say. If you have any theories at home as to what all of this meant, what it is that we're supposed to be looking at, be sure to leave them down in the comments, and maybe we'll revisit this at some point. But for now, keep fighting the good fight, Bill. And I agree, or I'm sorry, and it's awful that happened to you. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you all so much for watching this week's episode. And bye-bye.